Is everybody able to see my screen? Awesome. Okay, so as we mentioned, welcome. This is our parent informational session for the Online Academy. The purpose of this session today is really just to go over all of the ins and outs of Online Academy so that you guys can be a little bit more familiar as we move into next school year. We're going to go over a couple of things. I'm going to introduce our full team. We're going to talk about the options that Online Academy students have. We're going to go over the platforms that we use, give a sample week in Online Academy, attendance and grades, Odyssey and advisory, and then again have some moment for questions. So this is our team. As I mentioned before, my name is Megan Eisman. I am the principal of Online Academy. We have Mr. Garner. He is our high school science, and he also helps run our Odyssey program, which we will go further into, but that program specifically is for high school seniors. Mr. Hanselman is our full-time intervention specialist. He works with students 6 through 12. Mr. Lombardo is math and science, specifically for the grades 6 through 8, but he also provides advisory support for high school as well. And then Miss Watkins is ELA and history, specifically for grades 6 through 8, but also helps provide advisory support as well for high school students. So the thing about OA is we're small but mighty. We have a very close-knit group of teachers, and I can very confidently say that students in OA know all of us very well. So we all work together despite our specific licensure areas or job titles to make sure that students are happy, healthy, and safe and successful in their schooling. So I want to talk a little bit about the opportunities that Online Academy students have. Even though our students are online for the majority of their learning, students are still encouraged and able to participate in any athletics, clubs, or extracurricular activities that their home building has. So we have a lot of students who are still in football, who participate in choir or are in the musical. So or for middle school students, our students still go on the DC trip. All that stuff is really important that you guys know that they have that available to them. So even though they are online, they are still very much a part of their homeschool community as well. Students have remote access to their school counselors. So for those of you who have students who are in high school, if your student started off in the building this year and next year chooses to go to Online Academy, your counselor does not change. Middle school counselors as well are still a resource. So that is important for you all to know, that just because they're in OA doesn't mean that their resources in the building go away. Also, students can attend in-person courses that are not offered online. So the state of Ohio says that we need to have students enrolled in the majority of their courses. And if I had to put a number to that, I like to say 51 or more % of their courses in the Online Academy in order to be enrolled in Online Academy. However, there are some classes that I just cannot offer online. For example, choir or band, or walking for fitness, even though we do have, or ceramics, even though we do have a PE course available to students. If a student is interested in taking one of those in-person classes, they're able to do so as long as the majority of their courses are still enrolled online. So this typically brings up a lot of conversation with families and students to talk about specific schedule opportunities and schedule options. I would be more than happy to go through your individual student schedules with you at another time to kind of see if Online Academy would be feasible or if a schedule change would need to happen. So please let me know if anybody has any questions with that, and I'll get you in contact with me to set up a meeting or a phone call. Students also still have access to an OSU counseling service. We are excited to have our own OSU counselor as a resource to us, just like the buildings do. So we are excited to have her join us. Definitely next year. She's starting a little bit this year, but next year she'll be around full time. So we are excited to offer that resource for students who need it. So we use a couple of platforms to provide, your learning for your student. Canvas is something you should be fairly familiar with. Both the middle schools and the high school use it. It is, however, not our main platform that we use. Canvas is kind of a hub of resources for students in both middle school and high school. We can find supplemental materials, some assignment drop boxes for guided notes, office hour schedules, the OA handbook. Canvas is a really great place to find that, or study guides. We have finals coming up this month, and we are providing study guides via Canvas. So it's not necessarily a main priority of a platform. However, it is important to know that it is still utilized. The majority of our work is going to be through Edgenuity. You can find most of your coursework there. That's where class assignments are, assessments, and videos for learning will be on that platform. Tests and quizzes will also be on that platform. With the exception of finals this year, we are kind of working on utilizing Canvas for finals. But Edgenuity is going to be the bread and butter of Online Academy. That is where students spend most of their time. We wanted to give you a sample week in Online Academy, and now this is subject to change, but something that you guys could maybe look into just to warn your students is this schedule right here. We wanted to highlight some important things. Weekly previews are super important for both middle school and high school. This is a time for students to meet with their teacher and to go over content that they're going to see in the next week, and for that teacher to kind of teach in their own way, the way that content would best suit those kids. These are required, and they'll be live on Zoom. Middle school is going to be in the morning, and high school is going to be in the afternoon. So that's something that you can count on every week. On Tuesdays, we're keeping that open for our senior Odyssey projects. Mr. Garner will go kind of further into what Odyssey is as we get closer to the end of this presentation. However, we have saved Tuesdays for that senior Odyssey. Wednesday all day, we are open for office hours. This is a time for students to meet individually with their teachers, to meet individually with their Online Academy advisor, myself, but it is a full day that students have the flexibility to show up for office hours. Then on Thursdays and Fridays, we're going to do study tables and weekly check-ins. They also say advisory there, and we'll get a little bit into advisory, but that's not necessarily an every week activity, but that's the times that we would be scheduling those advisories. So this is just a sample, obviously subject to change depending on the needs of our students, but this is just something that you could expect as we move into next year. Okay. One of the things that we really love so much about Online Academy is this philosophy here of having our daily goals, but weekly deadlines. We will kind of move into the way attendance works on the next slide. However, I want to point out that attendance is directly related to students' productivity. Hypothetically speaking, in the building, when a student shows up, they are marked present for the majority of the day as long as they are there. In Online Academy, we have to go off of student progress in their Edgenuity. So I just want to make sure that I highlight the way that attendance is going to work is that every day we have an expectation that you accomplish a certain amount of tasks. The beautiful thing about Edgenuity is that it kind of takes away any executive functioning struggling that our students outside of Online Academy were experiencing. You'll see a photo to the right here, and it's just a sample of what a student might see on Edgenuity. So there are tasks that are assigned a date when they are due. And when they are a blue check mark, that means that it is complete. You will see at the very bottom there that there is a red exclamation mark. down here, and that means that it is late. So it is past due. That is what the student needs to work on. If the student doesn't complete the activities prior to that red exclamation point, they're not able to move on. So it's a mastery-based learning for the most part, and it's worked out really well for our students. But every day we have those daily tasks that we need to get complete. However, attendance is not taken until Sunday morning. So everybody has until Saturday night at 11:59 to make sure that all of their content is done. Which brings me to this attendance piece. If all of the students' content for that week is done, then there's no need for us to mark a student absent. However, in the event that a student falls behind, and I'll show you a photo of what that might look like on the next slide, but in the event that a student would fall behind, we would need to then go back in and look at the time that they have spent actively engaged in the platform. We're able to see how long students are on and engaged, and we're able to see how long they are idle. So it's important that at the end of that week at 11:59 on Saturday, that students have all of their work in. There are other things that also count for attendance other than just the time that students spend on Edgenuity. We know that the time that they spend on Edgenuity is likely not going to take them 5 to 8 hours every day. And truth be told, we don't want students sitting on their iPad or their computer for 8 hours a day. There are other things that they can be getting attendance for. So study tables, when our students come to study tables, we make sure that we log attendance for that. The logs that students take outside of the time that they spend in Edgenuity. So if they're working on math and it's not necessarily reflected in the Edgenuity platform, we make sure that that's in their log that they share with their advisor. We have individualized check-ins. Those are one-on-one time with a OA student and their OA advisor. Time that they spend with their OA advisor is also directly into their attendance. Then we have things called guided notes that measure for their attendance as well. Those guided notes help students stay engaged, and it helps keep them accountable for their learning. So all of those things encompass a student's attendance. However, the bulk of that is going to come from that Edgenuity platform. So it's really important that by the end of the week, everybody is caught up in their learning for that week. But we can, again, if you guys have any questions about how that works, we can chat about that at the end. Here you'll see two screenshots of two different students and their engagement in Edgenuity. This one at the top here, you can see they are pretty far behind. And the one at the bottom, they are on task. So if a student is in the red, this first top line, that means that they are behind. If the top line is blue, that means that they are on task. If they are green, then that means they have worked ahead. The second bar that you'll see here in the orange is expected progress. So that is where, when this screenshot was taken, the student was expected to be. That's how far in the course they were expected to be completed. So as you can see, this top student is pretty far behind. Now, the student on the bottom is on task and is doing a great job, and they are very close to where their expected progress target is. So they are on task and they're doing a great job. Again, we look at this at the very end of the week. However, advisors and myself, we're looking at this daily while we're touching base with students. So it's really important that students are looking at this progress report. We're looking at the progress report. We also have parent portals that allow parents to look at the progress report as well. We do send weekly reminders to parents and students. If students are behind in courses, they will get an automated message letting you know just how far students are behind. We kind of pride ourselves in over communicating so that we're not really losing anybody, as the year is going on. So I think I did an okay job of explaining that. Teachers, is there anything that I missed? No? Okay, excellent. So yeah, so like I had said about the executive functioning, this platform is really awesome for students who struggle with knowing where things are located, what they're supposed to do and when they're supposed to do it, how to organize things. The platform kind of takes away the need to be guessing of that. So this is just one example of a way that Edgenuity is really great for our students in completing their tasks. I kind of went over a bit of these as we were talking about the weekly schedule, but this, among other things, are some ways we want to highlight that your students will be supported in Online Academy. We have those weekly preview videos with teachers, and we're going to do those live next year, which is fantastic. We have individual weekly check-ins. I really want to spend some time talking about these because they're really very, very important to us in a way. Our number one priority is always making sure that our students are happy, healthy, and safe. These weekly check-ins are 15-minute individualized check-ins that students have with one adult every week for a whole year. If students are in Online Academy for multiple years, they're probably going to stay with that advisor for multiple years. The district gave out Panorama survey data over the past couple of years, and one thing that we've recognized from that service is that students need to feel like they have a safe adult to talk to in the building, somebody that they know is going to be in their corner and they know that they can confide in. These weekly check-ins are serving just that. Honestly, if in that 15 minutes, students don't want to talk about school, that's okay. It's time for our advisors to get to know your student, to get to know them outside of their their grades and their attendance and all that kind of stuff, and make sure that our students are happy, healthy, and safe. So we really think that these weekly check-ins are super important, not only for building community, but also for student success educationally, because we know if they are not feeling supported emotionally and mentally, then they're not gonna get there educationally. So just wanted to take a minute to talk about those weekly check-ins. We chatted a bit about guided notes. They're really great to help keep students engaged in the video learning and to help organize those thoughts. They're also able to be utilized on tests and quizzes later on. So those guided notes are pretty important for our students. In-person study tables, if your student falls behind, we will require for your student to come in person to in-person study tables. These are going to be twice a week, just like I showed on that weekly schedule, but we don't want anybody to get too far behind. So these are really important to us in those in-person study tables. We'll have sessions in the morning and sessions in the afternoon as well, so that it can support flexible scheduling. But those in-person study tables are a requirement. If we ask for a student to come in, we need them to come in. We have individual office hours, just like I said. Next year, we're going to have a full day during the week for office hours to be available. Teachers are also available by appointment as well. So if a student runs into a snag in their learning and they are just like, oh my God, I can't figure this out, they can always shoot an email to any one of us and make sure that we are there and available to hop on a Zoom and start working through things with them as well. Then we also have the ability, just like you would in the building, to differentiate instruction to meet those individual needs. So on a bit of a funner note, or a more fun note, we have things called monthly advisories. And these advisories, again, are leaning into that, making sure that our students are happy, healthy, and safe. It kind of gives us an opportunity to take a break from school and spend time together as a community to create that sense of belonging. So this year, we've done a couple of fun things. I'm going to have Mr. Lombardo chat about the fun advisories we've done this year, and we look forward to expanding on those next year.
Yeah, so piggybacking off of what Ms. Eisman said already, advisory activities have been one way that we have been able to help our OA kids still engage in some social events. And, we weren't exactly sure how this would end up, but I think it's safe to say that all of our students that were present at our advisories ended up loving them. I think they were super successful. we've done things as simple as getting ice cream. We went to an ice cream shop and got some ice cream, and kids enjoyed that, being able to just kind of see each other and have conversations. We went and we rented out a movie theater, and we got to watch a film, and it had some popcorn and some soda pop, and and got to hang out then, and that was a lot of fun. We've done advisory activities where we went and rented out some bowling lanes, and then did some laser tag and played some arcade games as well. And you know, how could you not love doing some of that stuff? That's definitely up my alley. So we've done all kinds of things, and we've kind of tried to create several different advisories that, you know, lots of kids would enjoy, and do something a little different every time. We've actually got one coming up this Friday. We're doing a field day with some fun activities and some, I want to say kind of like, what's it called? Like relay race type of competitions and things like that. So our last advisory, just trying to get outside and enjoy this nice weather. Hopefully the rain holds off, and like I said, I think this Friday was going to be one of our biggest turnouts yet. So should be fun. But really, like I said, I think that most importantly, the kids have really been open to whatever advisories, you know, whatever advisory activities we've kind of set out to do, and they are the ones that kind of take the initiative to make it as fun as they have been. And you know, it's funny because a lot of our students, you know, we've been a little bit nervous about these advisories and thinking, well, you know, how are we going to get this person to come out of their shell? How are we going to get this person to interact with these other people? And it's kind of funny, just because when we get all these students together, a lot of the times it just takes care of itself. We have students that we were a little bit more nervous about, who, you know, came out and had such a great time and gave us some really amazing feedback. And even the students that are a little bit more shy, they've told us that they've had a blast at the advisories. So to give you the short version, I've already given you the long version, but
That
to
didn't
wrap it
sound
up,
like the short.
to wrap it up, the last thing I'll say is that I think the advisories have been a tremendous success. I think the students have really enjoyed it. It's given OA a personal touch, especially, you know, getting these kids away from school and doing something fun. And like I said, that personal connection, I think, has made a huge impact on all of our students. So it's been good.
It's been really good for us as educators too. You know, I think a lot of times we, as educators, there's so much going on, so many things that we need to get done, so much content we need to cover, and the fun sometimes, for unfortunate reasons, kind of goes to the side. So I know with the advisories in the middle school and Bear Connection at the high school, this is really, the well-being of students is really at the forefront of the district, and we are happy to participate in that as well. And it's done a lot for us. We get to know kids on a very deep level. We know them well, both academically and socially, emotionally. So we just feel super lucky to have these opportunities and the flexibility that Online Academy affords our students. So it allows us to do a lot of really fun advisory activities.
And just build a community,
Yes,
which
huge.
is really the goal. So
Yes. And the last one more thing that I'll say, and Miss Heisman loves when I talk because I don't stop talking, but one last thing I'll say is that I didn't name all of the advisory activities that we did. There were a couple that I didn't mention, and next year we're already planning on doing several different advisory activities, and even maybe more often little get-togethers and things like that. Maybe still do, you know, one or two bigger activities a month or so, or a quarter, but then several other smaller activities too, or smaller get-togethers for more of that social aspect. So
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo.
you are very welcome.
A wealth of knowledge per usual. Our next slide goes over Odyssey, and today is ironically really great timing. We had an Odyssey presentation today that was fantastic. Odyssey is specifically for our senior students, and Mr. Garner is really running that, so I'm going to let him talk about it.
sure. So in the high school, we have something called the Capstone Project. And the Capstone Project is a really great research-based project that allows our students to delve into something that interests them. It teaches very good research skills, writing skills, and it's a very well done project. And I know that at the high school we're very proud of that. And so we actually had several students who did what we call an Odyssey, but they actually did a capstone project where they did a research project and created a lit review, and then did their own research project to add on to the conversation of being an expert in their particular research field. So that's awesome. We love that. But we felt like there was an opportunity with the flexibility that we have in Online Academy to have our students, instead of doing a research-based project, really do kind of an action-based project. So get into a project where they're actually hands-on doing something, experiencing something, and work through all the problems that kind of creates. And so we partner with our senior students. We have 4 different teachers that are advisors for our Odyssey projects. Miss Eisman even has jumped in on several advisories as an advisor. But the idea is that we would partner with those students. We would work with them to figure out something that they just want to try, they love. And so we've had several students this year that are doing different things. We have a young man presented today talking about his e-commerce business and his LLC. And so he spent pretty much all of the fourth quarter. Third quarter we planned, fourth quarter he enacted his plan, and he spent all fourth quarter basically figuring out how to start an LLC, go through the process of registering that LLC with Ohio, go through the process of figuring out what kind of products he wanted to sell, create a web page, try to market that web page, and went through the entire process of actually creating an e-commerce business that will go with him, and he's creating a brand. And so it becomes an opportunity for students just to really explore something that interests them, no matter what it is, and get kind of some scaffolding from staff that are helping them through that. In addition to having an advisor, students that are doing this project have a mentor, somebody who is not part of their family, may be connected to their family in some form or fashion, but is an expert in what they want to learn. And so we find partnerships in the community. We find individuals at OSU, individuals in Upper Arlington who are experts in some field and want to share that expertise with the student. And those mentors are invaluable in helping our students learn real world things. And so if you take anything away from Odyssey, it's this: that seniors will have an opportunity to work with an advisor to create a plan to really experience whatever they want to experience. And they'll do that with somebody who has expertise already. And then they get to kind of take 28 to 25 minutes. I think our presentation today actually was almost an hour. But take that time at the end to really share the things that they have learned from the project and give us feedback about the project. And so it's something that was born out of community school. So it was a program in the high school that I think ended probably 4 years ago. And we just saw that as an opportunity with the flexibility of Online Academy to do something different and to give our kids an opportunity to just have an experiential learning project as opposed to a research project, if they so chose. Again, both options were available. So, and we have found it to be very valuable.
We've gotten a lot of really great feedback from students as well, that they're really connecting the purpose of the assignment with something that they will take post high school. So we're pretty excited to offer that opportunity. In the event that this project is not feasible in the form of experiential learning for students, then we are able to provide an alternative Odyssey, which is more or less a paper. But I'm sure you are seeing the theme in Online Academy is we truly are here to meet students where they are at and provide support in their learning wherever that may be. So we have a lot of flexibility, like Mr. Garner was saying, in not only Odyssey, but Online Academy in general. So lots of cool opportunities, and we're excited to keep growing that program. That does bring us to the end of our physical presentation in here. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to actually stop recording, and then we can open it up for any questions that you guys may have for any of us.